So what I'm learning about this is it's very drippy, so start painting at the top of the wall. I mean, when you've got a loaded brush, start at the top. First of all, make sure you get all the cracks, all the grouting lines covered. And then when they're really covered, start spreading out all of the paint in an even layer, like that. And then there'll still be some drips in some of the grouting lines, so go over that, like smooth out the drips, spread the drip paint around, try and do another smooth layer. Don't go too thin, otherwise you see paint lines. I mean brush lines, you can still see some brush lines. And I'm hoping to go over this with a roller. But the only thing is that the only two rollers I have now are one foam roller, which is apparently not very good, and one too big fluffy roller. So I've lost my small fluffy roller, so I'll have to buy another one. And the last stage is just to find any little drips, like this one here, and smooth them out with the brush before they dry. That's a drip that I didn't realise when I did some painting earlier, so I can't get that off, but hopefully on the second coat it won't be evident. Okay, so there's a drip, and I keep getting drips at this place here. This is the third drip. It's very drippy. Yep, so can't see any more drips, so I'm now going to, sorry about the light, I'm now going to move on to the second wall. So first coat on. That kind of mottled effect almost looks like sort of artisan tiles from a distance. I think I already really prefer the white tiles, which is great anyway. Great news. Something else I've noticed is, or something to be aware of, is not to do it too sparingly, not to put too little paint on the brush, because then you just get too many marks, like that for instance. So I'm trying to be a bit more liberal, a bit more free and easy with the paint, because it dries really quickly as well. So if you're trying to fill in the grout lines as I was doing and then sort of smooth over a big area, you can get caught out and there can be sort of patterns which you can't get rid of then. Don't know if you can see those kind of contrasting direction lines there. So the thing to do is to not cover too big an area, to not put too much on your brush but also not put too little, and to work quickly. Another thing I've learned is that if you have to stop painting, just don't stop in the middle of a tile, because it will be obvious. Just paint complete tiles. Covered another tip, which is that if, to get a really smooth look, first go one way and then go the other way. Even life after love, I can see really don't think I'm strong enough yet. Do you believe in life? So first coat done. First coat done took about 2 hours. So I lost the other end to this small roller. I don't know where it is. I've read that you should try and buy good quality, what are these called, tips, ends to the rollers. Unfortunately, you know, in most places you just get the standard type. I don't know where you find these good quality rollers. This is just what Robert Dyer's had, but I've heard that the fluffy types are better than the foam types. So these are 2 fluffy types of roller. This one has a finer fluffiness than this one, and I'm just going to interchange them and see which works best to do the second coat of the tiles. So I'm a bit worried because I don't want the tile paint to spatter everywhere, because it's pretty glossy, pretty thick. But hopefully, thankfully, because everything's white except the cooker. You know, the walls, the woodwork, the cupboards are going to be white. It won't matter too much, but still, I don't want to make a mess, so I'm just going to go slowly, and hopefully there won't be too much speckled effect either on the tiles. So this is the finer, fluffy roller, the roller with the smaller nap. Well, not as fluffy as the other one. I'm tired this morning. I think I'm struggling to even think properly. Right, so let's give it a reasonably even coat with the paint. And now this is how the tiles look with one coat, one very meagre coat, thin coat of brushed on tile paint. And now we'll see how they look with a bit of roller action. The handle of these rollers always gets in the way, doesn't it? Let's just try here for now. The tiles are slightly uneven as well, so there's going to be play into it a bit. It's hard filming yourself and watching where you're putting the roller. Okay, now I can see that is a second coat, but it's still not completely covering the coat beneath, and I'm not really keen to do a third coat, so I wonder whether I should just try and put some more paint on. You probably can't see on, you can a bit. Anyway, it's not completely covering that beneath, but I've heard that it's better to do thin coats. So it looks like I'll be doing a third coat, which is not great news for me. But probably better that than have drippy tiles. So I'll go ahead with some more second coats now, and then I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so the first challenge I've noticed with this very smooth little roller is that it actually doesn't turn that well. So it's easy for it to slide, and you know, you get a big bunch of paint like this. So you mustn't press too hard. If you press too hard, it doesn't rotate and turn. I'll go in close and we'll see how much kind of pixelation or pebble dash, as my partner said, effect there is. A little bit, but not too bad. Yeah, it's pretty good. Sorry, I could live with that, I think. It's pretty smooth. Yeah, so if I can make do with this, then I will. So it's the last coat today, the third coat of the tile paint. I'm using an even fluffier roller today, see how that goes. Yesterday I used this type of roller and the effect was pretty good, very small nap, and you don't really see too much of the mottled effect. In fact, you can only see the brush strokes from the first undercoat there. In any case, so the second coat I did with this roller, but today I'm using these rollers, and I've just cut in around this corner here by hand with a paintbrush, doing the tops of the walls, the I've run out of tile paint. This is the last I've got. I'm just hoping that will do the rest of the kitchen. I don't think it will somehow. That's the way it goes with paint, isn't it? You always have to buy another tin of paint. So now I'm just going to cut in around the bases of the tiles with the remainder paint from. The good thing when rollering is that you can go in different directions and it's not visible as it would be when you're doing brush strokes. So you can really spread out the paint and roller it the way that's easiest for you. Just trying to make sure there's not more paint in one place than another at the moment, and then I'll see whether this roller is better than the roller I used yesterday. I'll just try and do this bit under here. I did these 3 tiles with the brush, so but I could actually just do a roller in the middle of them, and maybe maybe that would result in an more even result. Really not very eloquent talking about painting, am I? Okay. It's hard pressing. It's difficult pressing as hard as you need to, in such a small space. Okay, there's a drip. Okay, I got rid of the drip. So there is a light stippling. I can't really tell the difference, to be honest, with this extra fluffy roller and the finer fluffy roller. It looks pretty good. And this final coat is covering, I think, in any case I'm not doing a fourth coat, And I've found that when you notice a drip, as you inevitably will, even if you've been careful at the time, you know, hours later a drip will form, especially around sockets and things. You can just pretty much like scrape it off. It's not ideal, but it saves sandpapering. Let's just see if I can do any better than that. Got a bit more. This is better. This is as good as I can do. Hopefully the third coat will cover that irregularity there. Good morning. I think I've finished the kitchen painting, and now I have to clean up. But before I put all the painting materials away, I'm just going to leave them out just in case there's any touch-ups. There always will be. And actually I do have to do the black tiles. Oh, that's a good point. Okay, before I clean up, I have to experiment with painting the black tiles with a different tile paint. love and understanding. Hopefully it won't clash and will take over the Rust-Oleum. This is Rustins. So my plan is to do a sort of border of black tiles around the base of the worktops, and then another strip or border of black tiles around the edge at the top of the tile strip here, running behind this silver rail all across here. Now this could go very wrong, so I'm going to have lots of tissues and sponges ready to take it off immediately. So before I tape everything again to paint these two black borders of tiles, I'm going to try out a bit of the tile paint. It says not to use a roller, so I'm just going to use brushes. This brush is actually pretty much identical to the width of the tile, so it might be handy. On the other hand, it might be too big to retain control of the paint if this black paint is really drippy. So in that case I've got a smaller brush, and then my smallest brush, which is actually a blusher brush, and I wish it had a flat end. In fact, I could trim that now. Okay, here goes. I think I will start with a smaller brush just because I'm so nervous about putting this on. Actually, I should get the kitchen towel ready to wipe it off immediately if it's awful. Oh, so far so good. It's not too drippy. Might need 2 coats, probably definitely will need 2 coats, but it's quite easy to get the control. Now the one thing is I don't want brush marks, but they say to only use a brush with this. I think I'm going to use the bigger brush because the smaller one I think I've ruined by trying to cut it. So I'll just use this bigger one now. Ah, interesting. Is that not adhering, or is it just brush marks? It seems to be retracting and leaving an oily stain. I mean an oily mark. I'll report back in a minute when I've covered the whole thing. So definitely the biggest challenge with this will be getting straight lines. If I didn't have to get straight lines, it would be a dream to use. It's actually much easier to use than the Johnston's tile paint, because it's not so drippy and it seems to be better coverage. Oh my goodness, if only I'd used this to begin with. Anyway, now I have to work out how to get a straight line. Maybe this big brush will give me a better line. Yeah, okay, I'll try that. Yeah, I don't really see a way around this. I've tried with the bigger brush and the lines are still not good enough. The edges, I mean, yeah, I just don't think, sadly, I'm going to be able to use this. I mean, from a distance it'll look great, but it's immediately obvious it's painted when you draw in. So I think what I'm going to have to try and find is black, a sticky sheet of black, sort of vinyl or something I can cut into squares and just peel off the back and stick them on, but they have to be glossy front as well. That's as much as I could get off even with hot soapy water and a sponge, so I'm going to have to repaint it in white and then think what to do. Actually, what I am going to do is I'm going to invest in a really good artist's paintbrush that will give a very crisp edge, or research what tool to use when you need to paint a very straight edge. And I'm going to have one more go, so I'm going to leave it like that at the moment and then try on this tile again as a test. This is literally only about a minute later. Look at that. Yes! I'm too scared to feel anymore. No. Of course, one problem that might occur is that when I come to do these middle tiles, and I have to stick masking tape on this tile paint, the tile paint might come on. Right, so even the masking tape isn't perfect. On two edges it didn't stick. Don't we know what to do now? Of course, I could always leave it every other, actually. So maybe I'll do that first. whether to drill the holes on these two doorknobs in a straight line according to the spirit level, or kind of in a straight line in relation to the doors, because the doors are slightly hanging skewiff, which I suspect most reasonably old kitchen cabinet doors are. And you can see the holes drilled before aren't totally in line, because the spirit level is spot on at the moment, but the existing holes aren't. I think I'll just have to, oh gosh, maybe a compromise between the spirit level. When positioning these knobs on the doors that open outwards with a horizontal hinge, no, a vertical hinge, sorry, what I do is I look where the line of the previous, look where the hole drilled for the previous knob is, and put my knob as much as I can in line with that. So I'll just sort of position it like that, and then I'll take one of these, just for kind of a width guide. I'll put it just above the knob, and I'll try and put the new knob in the middle of this larger sort of half cup shape handle, and that's how I get the position. Voila. It's nice with the white. Very nice. Not quite as nice as with the dark blue black, but still nice. See where the handles were before on these doors, or this one, or this one. It's just a problem on the dishwasher door. I think I'll have to polyfiller over the paint and then paint again. I've discovered the best way to smooth out polyfiller when I fill in the holes where the old handles were is actually a damp sponge, not a scraper. So I've smoothed it with my finger a bit, and now I'm just going to smooth with this damp sponge, because you need the lightest touch when you're smoothing. polyfiller. The reason they were sort of crater-like is because, as I said, the MDF or laminate had actually risen up around the sides, and so I erred on the side of putting too little polyfiller in to try and make it flush with the rest of the plane of the door, but then I was left with these ridges like a little volcano crater. So I've just had to fill with polyfiller to the very brim of the crater, if that makes sense, and then these will be slightly raised, but they'll still look better. I can't find the relevant hole in the cabinet here at all. I mean, there's one hole there, but that was where the old handle was. I can't find the hole where this screw was that goes into there. Even on the back, none of these holes are in the right place for that.